1. In my history of work experience, this was the most hectic day on the clock of my life. I remember the times because I kept looking at the clock, hoping the next round would be over soon. It was a Tuesday. I was on the 7 to 3 alone, with no mid-shift coming in because it was only a Tuesday and it's a smaller hotel. While leaving my 11 to 7 the evening before, the only things that stuck out for the next day were that we were having a large group, Purple, that took up most of our event rooms, and that the keybox was broken. The way our keybox works is that it's locked, and you use your employee ID number to open it. You select which key you're checking out from a list, and when the box opens, that key will light up. Our engineer was able to pull it open, but none of the keys were labeled. Though it wasn't a huge deal that Monday, nothing big, just stuff happening earlier in the day than usual because of the event, I blissfully and naively thought. 7. Tuesday morning, I arrive and the night auditor sighs and asks if I know which of the now unmarked keys is the gate key. We have a gate lock, and sales asked us, on Purple's group resume, to open the gate at 7 a.m. and close it at 9 a.m. I told the auditor that I was pretty sure which key it was, and to just go home because she looked dead on her feet that particular morning. I grabbed the key from the box and walked all the way over to the gate, and it didn't unlock. Went back to the box, grabbed all the keys that looked like they could work, and tried again. No luck. Some Purple organizers were arriving, and I realized the maintenance keyring probably has a copy of the key on it. Even though I knew I should never touch it, I took the maintenance keyring outside and bingo! It had the key. Went back to the office, put the keyring back where I found it, went to the desk, and one of our restaurant cooks was leaning on it impatiently. He asked if I had the GM's number. His personal cell is written on the desk, so I felt comfortable giving it to the cook. He then asked if there are any security cameras in the kitchen. There are. I know because the screens are in the office behind the desk. He told me that another cook there tried to punch him, and the waitress was able to break them up. The gate ordeal took almost 20 minutes. I was irked already because of it, and the fight is definitely above my pay grade, so I tell him that the GM and F&B manager will have to look at the footage when they get in. That took until 7:30, and I now have a small stack of room keys that are ready to be checked out. I try to settle payment for the first reservation. The credit card declined. Same with the second reservation. I had a suspicion about what was going on, and tried to settle the third balance just to be sure. My credit card machine was down. I am checking a trickle of people out with open folios when I see my GM a lot earlier than I usually do, stays late and arrives late. I wave him down and he says, "Let me guess, your credit cards aren't going through?" All the credit card machines were down in the entire hotel and restaurant. The restaurant called him in early because they already figured it out. 8. Our hotel's event rooms end up stretching out down 3 corridors with our lobby and entrance in the center. Things are getting loud with the nature of the layout holding the event. The 2 people in sales who are supervising are running around, but one of the group's organizers seems to have been doing work with the GM because she keeps coming to the front desk to ask for him by name. I have to actually leave the desk to find him, because he's on his phone with the credit machine support and trying each individual point of sale in the hotel. He puts support on hold to talk with this woman about 2 times before having me direct her to sales. I had to hunt one of them down. Sales complains because they claim the GM was supposed to work with the coordinator, BS, and I more or less tell them to make do because our hotel currently can't accept money. They didn't care, and I didn't care about them not caring, because they can bully the GM if they want to, not me. By the way, about that, let's just say as far as bullying the GM goes, fuck around and find out. I just wanted to settle folios before 2:55 p.m. 9 comes around, and I see our chief engineer staring at the open lockbox. He just came in, and his keyring is gone. I admitted that I used it earlier, but could swear I put it back. I'm looking for it all over the desk, and in the back office for it. I told him that I remember putting it back, and it's nowhere to be found in my area. He clearly didn't believe me. He said he can make do with the other keys, and I have my own things to do. I reminded myself that it was the extent I was able to help him, and continued with my day. 9:15, and I'm looking for the GM at the coordinator's request again, because sales was pushing their luck. When I find him, I hear a familiar jingle. GM, are those the maintenance keys? Yeah. The engineer is looking for them. Really? I figured he'd know I have them because who else would grab them? He needs to close the gate at 9, which was 15 minutes ago. I'm really busy. He's gonna have to get them from me. By the way, the coordinator wants to talk to you. I thought the sales director was handling that. Not anymore, I guess. I'll speak with them. He jogs off. I'm not above throwing the sales director under the bus at this point. 9:20. I let a very frustrated engineer know where his keys were and continued to check people out with open folios, and started my paperwork 2 hours later than I usually do. 10. And Purple's event is starting in half an hour. Now, here's something that Sales should have put on the resume and Purple should have told their attendees. Sales and Purple apparently had an understanding that our gated lot isn't big enough for both our guests and Purple's attendees. So there was a valet parking from our hotel to a nearby parking garage for Purple. I had no idea, and neither did the literal dozens of people who asked for access to our gated lot. After the second person asked, I hunted down someone from sales to ask where parking was, and with their explanation, I knew shit was about to actually hit the fan today, once the attendees really started coming. I was explaining the situation on repeat, and I'm pretty sure not a single attendee knew this parking situation was going to happen. 11. And checkout time with Purple attendees still asking about parking. That particular day, our GM's master keycard deactivated. Our chief engineer was the only other MOD who had the ability to make one for him. I love the guy, but he's a boomer who has little knowledge of computer programs. The poor guy was standing at the front desk trying to make a master keycard, and I couldn't help him because I didn't have access to the program, so I was unfamiliar too. That was when Purple's biggest a-hole came to the desk. Even though I was the one dressed business casual with a name tag and engineer is dressed like a maintenance guy complete with trucker hat, a-hole kept yelling at engineer as if he was in charge of the valet parking. He did not like the parking situation that was set up. I skip over the accusations and curses, but it ended with him saying, "So, I can park anywhere? Even the grass?" I smile calmly at him. Yes, even the grass. He walks out with a smirk, obviously thinking he had the last word, and I say to engineer, "We don't have any grass if I remember right, do we?" The engineer looks at the door, incredulously, and replies, "I hope he pops a tire on the curb." 12, and the event is in full swing. I had 3 old ladies attending Purple come up to the desk to ask if this was an actual hotel you can actually stay at. No, the 5 floors and hotel in the name are for decoration. I give them the spiel about room types, amenities, and our boutique aesthetic. I gave them the brochures about our brand and turned around to see the GM smiling approvingly at me. So I'd done at least one thing right that day. 12:15, and the credit card machines are back up. I'm finally able to process everything. For my hotel, that's the majority of the AM shift duty, so I'm happy to get it done, and I was able to do it in bulk, albeit untimely for reasons beyond my control. It must have been 1:15 when I run into the F&B manager on my way back from the bathroom. "Hectic day, huh?" I remark. He gives a long sigh and says, "There's been something else." Oops, forgot about that fight in the kitchen earlier. Found him in the back office looking at the security cameras a bit later. The restaurant is in full swing at the moment and probably missing him. 1:30, and some of today's hotel guests started coming in hoping for an early check-in. Housekeeping hadn't been dealing with Purple and didn't have a problem identifying the housekeeping keys, so the hotel is almost clean for the day. So thankfully, I'm able to accommodate the early check-ins, getting them away from the chaos which is Purple and the general entirety of the hotel. No complaints from any guests, just questions about what was going on, because our gorgeous lobby was now Purple's waiting room for the valet. The event ends at 2, so people are finally leaving, but the lobby is hectic. 2, and the event is over. Purple's coordinators are mingling with a few people, but Sales and our single house person for the day are putting everything away, trying to wordlessly kick them out. A few more people check in, and the lobby is in subpar condition, to say the least. The GM grabs our house person to clean it, and she seems relieved that she's actually cleaning the hotel instead of cleaning up for Purple. 2:30 and it's done. It's over. No one is checking in at the time, and I just collapse into a chair. My last half hour is a break on my cell phone with a latte from the cafe that the barista gave me for free, because she had more or less the same day as I did, and everyone was taking pity on each other. 3. The PM girl comes in to see me slumped in a chair on my phone and asks how the day's been. I cryptically told her to be happy that she missed everything, did the pass-along, and wished her a good night. I drove home blasting music, took a nap, and just read until I was in again Thursday at 7 a.m. It was a much less eventful shift. Fun times. 2. So I am a front desk agent at a small extended stay franchise-run hotel. We get all kinds of characters. Here's one such couple. An elderly couple staying for the weekend. They're in their maybe early 80s. Wife hard of hearing, husband 100% deaf. So making sure to let them read your lips helps. Super sweet couple, but again, elderly. So they have been very dependent on staff to help with figuring out our updated hotel. My first encounter was when they came back from dinner. Wife wants to go into our store. Do you have your key?
My key?
I go up in the door, let her inside.
Oh, thank you. Tell my husband I'm in here when he comes inside.
Okay. Husband walks in, before I know he's deaf. Hello, she's in the store. He shuffles past, waves, keeps walking to the room. Realizes she's not in the room, shuffles back, goes straight into the store. He knew how to open the door. They proceed to debate what they want. Hers sitting in a chair, pointing at things. He grabs them, hands to her. She either puts into one of the bags we provide or has him put back. It's comical to watch on my camera. They finally finish. He walks up to the desk.
If she was in there any longer, I'd be in the poorhouse.
I can tell by the tone of voice he's deaf. Mental note, make sure he can see you when you talk to read lips. 5 minutes later, husband shuffles back.
Lights aren't working.
Walk in the room, key in hand. Put key in the slot above the light switch. Flip on lights. Explain. Keep this here. So your lights work.
Oh, thank you.
3 minutes later, the husband says,
I'm gonna wear a hole in the floor. I need toilet paper. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Here you go. Thank you. While smiling. A few hours later, husband shuffles back to the desk.
My wife needs you to call her.
Oh, okay. I call the room.
I can't connect to the internet.
May I come show you?
Yes.
I go and set up the Wi-Fi on her iPad and cell phone. I write down her passcode on a piece of paper, finish off my second shift, leaving at 12 a.m. Back in for the first shift at 8 a.m. 9:30, phone rings.
There's a light blinking on our phone in the room.
Okay, I go in. It's a voicemail. Call voicemail, listen. She managed to call her own room and leave a voicemail. How? I delete it. Phone stops blinking.
Who was it?
You managed to leave yourself a message.
What? It was for me?
No, it was you.
Oh.
Don't worry, I fixed it. It won't blink anymore.
Okay.
I ask if anything else is needed. Towels or anything.
Well, bedroom blows out cold air.
Oh, okay, let me see. I come to discover the thermostat battery died. Easy fix. I got new batteries and presto, fixed.
I didn't want to bother you last night.
I'm like, it's never a bother. Now, this isn't a mean post. I literally found the whole ordeal comical and sweet. They're elderly and just needed the extra care. We're in slow season and helping is what we do. We have our reputation for being helpful and friendly. I just wanted to share the story just as a reminder that not all hotel interactions are negative. Hope everyone has a good day and night. They actually extended their stay for a few more days. The sons have been by to check up, make sure they're doing well. Both have thanked me for being so helping and caring. The elderly man learned my name, so addresses me by my name when he sees me. The whole staff, even our GM, are finding them to be a delight. I really do love my job. 3. Scene. It's 10:30 a.m. on a busy Friday. We're basically checking out the whole house last minute. It's Friday, the day where the corporate clients are going home and the tourists are getting in. Tourists have a tendency to try to come in early, and I'd been informed no early check-in. Add on to that we had a company book 40 rooms for their holiday party, and those partied-out guests were ringing the front desk left and right, asking for late checkout. Most of them denied. As the infinite line of checkout had just started to flow in a comfortable pace, comes in Cat Lady. Cat Lady is with my grandchild, and is old enough that I would give up my seat on a bus for her. She has a bunch of stuff, so she took one of our trolleys that are taking a lot of space. A cooler, suitcase, sleeping bags, and a box covered by a blanket. I'm silently hoping the line moves in my favor. AKA, she goes to my colleague on the right instead of me. I have no rooms, I can't check them in, and I don't feel like dealing with that, but alas, she comes up to me.
Cat lady, I have a reservation.
Hi, welcome. Actually, check-in time is at 3. It's too early for check-in right now.
Oh, I know. I called earlier and I was told that I could leave my bags here. I'm just gonna pre-register, then we're gonna go eat.
Alright, no problems. We don't actually pre-register here, but we'll do our best to accommodate you. I see you have quite a lot of stuff, so you can just put this trolley next to my desk here. We're putting a priority on your kind of room, so it should be ready in an hour. While she parks the trolley, takes her grandchild's hand, and heads to the breakfast place that's on the second floor of the building. I realize that between her cooler and under the blanket is a carrier, with a cat in it. The cat is cool, doesn't look distressed, is hanging out between what seems to be piles of stuff. I kinda bewildered that she would leave an alive being to strangers, walk over to my manager's desk, and explain to her that we have a cat at the front desk now. I watch my manager run to the second floor to intercept the guest. I can't help but think, bitch, what? I love cats, but I'm not keeping that thing and a whole-ass cooler next to me in the middle of the lobby like that. I look up their reservation, and of course they didn't disclose having a pet, so I didn't have any pet-friendly rooms ready, and of course, we have no double standard rooms clean yet. Because check-in is at 3. Guests come back to the lobby, looking to sit on our fancy rocking chair. Cat Lady is staring at me the whole time, as if I'll magically make the room clean. Meanwhile, the grandchild runs around and causes a little bit of madness, but not destructive enough for me to intervene. Finally, at 11:15, we get a call for a clean 2-bedroom. As I thought it was over and done for Cat Lady, ask my colleague who's checking her if everything is ready for them. Colleague says yes. Of course, we double-checked everything is in place.
Great. Well, I'm glad we won't have to go outside and can rest now.
10 minutes later, I get a call. It's Cat Lady.
Where's the letterbox?
I'm sorry?
The girl told me you had everything ready for me. What even was the $30 pet fee you charged me if it wasn't for a letterbox? For the price I paid for this room, if I knew you didn't provide letterboxes, I would have stayed somewhere else. We have been driving all morning. He's gonna have to go any time now.
Let me check what we can do. Cue me running around everywhere for a fricking letterbox. Of course, we don't have one in-house. Most people who travel with their cats have their essentials as well. Solution: intercept a server that was coming in for his shift, ask him to buy a litter box, a scooper, and litter for the guest, which took him an hour as each place he went to only had one of the items needed. Went up to the rooms at 1 p.m., brought the cat stuff, and was met with cat lady wearing only a towel that almost slipped when she got the items from my hands. 5 out of 10 shift. Entertained, but also over it. 4. I worked front desk at a select service-known brand hotel. We were about 6 minutes away from the airport, and there was another same brand hotel right next to it. I check in this 30-ish lady. We'll call her Karen. We do check-in chit-chat. She says she usually stays at the other hotel, but it wasn't available her first night, so she decided to book her 2 nights at our hotel. She asked if I could see their availability via my system. I said the computers aren't connected, but offered to call and also offer our lobby computer to make any reservations. She declines me calling the other hotel and says she'll use her phone later. I explain incidentals, confirm her 2-day length of stay, checked ID. She inserts her credit card, and I, very friendly, go over amenities, hours, our shuttle, open food places, all the normal hospitality spiel. An unremarkable check-in, or so I thought. Cue the phone call. I am the only FDA there for the evening. It's been about 2 hours since her check-in. I answer, and she doesn't even let me get out the "Good evening, missus," before she shouts, "You have the stupidest front desk staff I've ever experienced." She was one of like 3 check-ins that night, so I knew she was talking about me. I play ignorant and ask what happened. She says the girl, me, was rude, didn't know what she was talking about, and had stolen her money. I inquired further how her money was stolen, and she screams that I took out the incidentals. I explain them again, exactly I did at check-in, and she's still raving that the dumbass in front, me, did the math wrong. She saw the total when she inserted her credit card. I break down the math and explain the system auto-calculates the total. Front desk doesn't input the amount. She then proceeds to insist the other same brand hotel, that of course she stays at all the time, has never ever taken any of her money at check-in, no incidentals, and was only charged for her room once she checked out. I explained that not just our brand, but every hotel has an incidental policy at check-in. She now switches her insults to phone me. Not the idiot who checked her in, also me. She can't believe how dumb I am making that statement, repeats how I was so stupid thinking that's a standard hotel practice to take a nightly incidental, and how no hotel ever steals a guest's money up front. At this point, I'm just amused with her angry ramblings, and wonder if I should start counting how many times she calls both of me stupid. She wasn't getting anything from her first 2 rages, so now she moved on to the give me my money back phase. I explained the whole, even if I release the funds, it takes days, blah blah blah. No, your room won't be comped, and again, hotels require room, tax, and incidentals for the entire length of stay. I can't refund you for tonight. So here's where I discovered where I think her entire issue stemmed from. Karen indignantly asks, "So, I changed my mind about staying a second night, and you're still going to charge me for it? I told that stupid front desk girl I might not stay the second night," lies, "but she didn't listen and stole my money." Inserts some more childish name-calling, with a few more repeats of her asinine arguments of "this has never happened anywhere." And we circle back to her angry about being charged 2 nights. I state her reservation was for 2. She had originally booked 2, and there were no notes about early departure. She keeps insisting that incapable front desk moron, still me, added another night, and she stated that the other hotel was sold out, and how she had asked if I could book another hotel for her second night, but I rudely refused, and how she was undecided on that second night, and shouldn't have charged. I then say, "Well, you told me this at check-in." I repeat the actual convo. Her response, "Well,
You should have known I might change my mind. I never dealt with someone so stupid in my entire life.
And finally hangs up. I so wish I could have fit a neither have I in before she hung up, but alas, I was not quick enough. After that, I was done with her. I called the other hotel just to double-check their incidental policy, which, of course, was the same as ours, and inquired if they recognized her name as a regular. Shocker, nope. She has stayed there once, 2 years ago. I told my GM, who adored me, and she ended up forcing Karen to stay that second night, as she wouldn't waive the early departure fee. I worked in customer service my entire life, and this was about 10 years ago, but this story remains in my top 5 of this stupid, not me, customer and guest stories. 5. This story starts about a week ago on my shift, 3 to 11 p.m. I look in the front desk to grab a keycard. As a side note, we use keycards that can be reused and reprogrammed, so the front desk doesn't throw them away unless they stop working, are bent, or damaged in some way. In the drawer, there are about 20 to 30 cards for our new little 14-room hotel for a booked weekend. A bit of a tight squeeze, but that doesn't matter. I think to myself, we keep the backlog in a different drawer. I check the other drawer and nothing. No keycards. I check the office. No dice. Trying to ignore the impending doom I can feel lurking over my shoulder, I put in our shift recap that we need keycards ordered, but that will be okay for the weekend since we're pretty dead during the week. I also tell the manager in person. Later he informs me that he's passed the message on to the owner and that more keycards have been ordered. If that actually happened, though, we wouldn't be here. Believing that things would be all right, I continue on with my night and end up chatting with Jude. I rarely have contact with our housekeepers due to the timing of my shift, but upon speaking to them I realize something. Housekeepers have borrowed keycards from me when they forget their personal keys and need to get into the rooms, but they've never returned them to me. I decide to ask Jude what they do with the keycards they borrow from the front desk or even find in the rooms. Jude hums a little and says easily, "Oh, those. They're disposable, so I've just told everyone to throw them away." They see nothing wrong with this. And suddenly, I understand where all our keycards have gone, accidentally taken by guests and thrown away by our housekeepers. Who the hell just assumes keys are disposable, though? I just want to hit my head against a wall. Seriously, they didn't even ask anyone what to do with the keys, just assumed they could throw them away. After collecting myself, and nicely but firmly urging Jude to please return the keys to the front desk when they find them, and tell the same to all other housekeepers. They go home while I sit at the desk with my new knowledge. Despite my annoyance, I am satisfied in knowing how we reached our key shortage, and I'm hopeful that I have prevented any future catastrophe. We move on. A few days later, the hotel is nearly empty again, and all checkouts are complete for the day. I clock in, go to the desk, but when I open the front desk drawer, even fewer keys than before, about 7, if I remember right. It doesn't match up with how many there should be, but I suppose that some of the guests walked off with them. It happens. Still, I reassure myself that's fine. The manager talked to the owner and they ordered the keys. They'll probably get here in my days off. Leave it be. It had only been 2 days since the keys were ordered, and we've got until Friday to have enough keys for all our rooms again. The night is quiet and I head home, happy to have my days off. They're uneventful, and I return Thursday relaxed and refreshed. Clock in, go to the desk, ready to hang out with the AM guy until 5 p.m. when he heads home. I open the front desk drawer. A habit I'm now forming in order to check our key supply. There's one key. Fuck. The impending doom is back on my shoulders and has gained a few pounds. Thankfully, since we're such a small property, the owner is often on site. After informing Kay of the key predicament and catching him up on all that I'd learned, I speedwalked to the office. Popping my head in, I spot the owner and say, "Hey, owner, I just wanted to ask about the key cards. Do you know when they'll be getting here?" The owner turns in his chair and asks how many keys we have left. I have our remaining key in my hand and hold it up. 1, plus 2 the current guests have, so 3 if they give them back. The face he makes is somewhere between startled and confused before he switches into problem-solving mode, which I leave him to. Behind me, Kay is somewhat amused, mostly because he has the next couple of days off, so it won't be his problem, but suggests he go and check the different sheds around our property to see if there may be any boxes of spare keys laying around. We divide and conquer. While I check our laundry shed for loose keys, Kay checks the housekeeping cabinets that are by the rooms. Nothing in either, but we regroup and check the final shed. There's a box in it branded with the same name as our key cards, but it just has some cables, which is decidedly unhelpful, but at least we tried. Kay offers to check the all now empty rooms and heads off to do that, while I ask my co-workers to keep their eyes out for key cards. When we both return to the desk, Kay's got a few small pieces of trash, and we muse about how thorough our housekeepers are. Oh, the irony. We decide that while it's not much, we both have key cards on us that we turned into master keys. There's a key ring with a master fob, but we kept accidentally leaving with it. Kay and I give up our key cards, bringing up our sum total to 3. 5 if we included the ones our only guests currently have. It's progress. Later, after Kay has left, I informed my manager that the owner has now ordered key cards with overnight shipping. This news does not soothe the lurking doom, which has grown enough that I consider giving it a name. Maybe Ichabod, something suitably weird. With nothing else to be done about the situation, I tiredly asked the manager about the original order that was supposedly put in, but it seems the manager assumed the owner would have ordered them upon being informed we were running low. Great. Wonderful. When I go to sleep that night, I'm not excited about what tomorrow brings. Ichabod would make a good pillow if he was more tangible than an ominous sense of foreboding. Today rolls around, it's Friday, wonderful Friday, where I have 11 check-ins today and 2 tomorrow. I go out to my car, and it doesn't start. Damn this cold weather. As I type this, it's literally 1 degree outside. I call the hotel and inform my coworker Jay that I'll be late. I eventually get to speak to the manager, and learn over the phone that not only have the keycards still not arrived, that he and the owner are contacting nearby hotels to see if they have the same kind of keycards, and if we can borrow some. Ichabod is big enough to ride in the passenger seat, and after getting my car to start, I tell him to buckle up, because this ordeal still isn't over, and I wish he was Buttercup the unicorn. When I arrive at work, the owner already left to drive about an hour there and back to get key cards from another hotel, because we're getting desperate. To myself, I think, what if the keys the owner brings back don't work? Then I immediately cut that train of thought, because we don't need that kind of negative energy when we have Ichabod lounging on one of the lobby couches. I clock in and check the desk. We've got 8 keys. Honestly, it's a miracle they scrounged up 3 more key cards, even if it's not enough. Eventually I get distracted by having to make day beds for 2 of our rooms because our housekeepers didn't make them. Another ongoing problem that I wouldn't care so much about if I didn't have 11 check-ins to worry about, on top of the single-digit temperature and wind chill that makes it hurt to be outside. Jay mends the desk while I do this, and checks in one of the rooms that needed a daybed right after I finish it. I pat myself on the back for this. At least something is going right. then head back to the desk after I finish the second day bed. There's a few small tasks for me to do, so I do them while Jay continues to watch the desk. When I return next, the owner has also just gotten back. Yes! Hooray! We're saved! Jay tries one of the borrowed cards. Red light. Error. He tries a few others just in case. Red. 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 We're fucked again, and I'm considering changing careers to work as a seer or a fortune teller. I can ride Ichabod home if my car doesn't start again. Our final resort is to give each reservation one key, as 2 reservations have connecting rooms. Which brings us down to only needing 9 keys. You may remember that we only have 8 keys, not 9, but the manager has a fob key he doesn't really use. To get our grand total of 9 keys, he gives it up for the weekend, and it's rekeyed to one of the rooms to be given to a repeater guest that's been rather polite. And that, wonderful readers, brings us to the present. I've got 4 hours of my shift remaining, Ichabod in the chair next to me, and 10 check-ins to go. It's somewhat slow, sure, but in the remaining 4 hours of my shift, I slowly begin to check in the remaining 10 of 11 rooms. 1 key per room due to the shortage. While any impending doom is saved for tomorrow, we have 1 checkout but 2 check-ins, so even if that room returns their key, we'll still be 1 key short. I must remain at my post instead of considering tearing apart our office in search of key cards. Instead, I make some more attempts at turning the keys we borrowed just to entertain myself in between messages to an online friend, reading comments on Reddit, and side-eyeing a still rather large Ichabod. It's about another hour into my shift, however. The manager appears from the office with a Deus Ex Machina. See, our property has been open for about 6 months. The owners run mostly restaurants, and this is their first hotel, so we're really new. That being said, we also started out with a GM that some of you might have questioned the absence of earlier. The GM was a nice and somewhat eccentric woman, but I liked her. She seemed protective of me and called me cute nicknames like Sunshine. Plus, she was really experienced in the hospitality business. And with that experience, the GM was really good at preventative measures and preparing solutions to problems we may have in the future that we may have no control over now. So the lovely Deus Ex Machina that the manager plops on the front desk, that's about to save our little key shortage, comes in the form of a card binder that was tucked into one of the office filing cabinets. It has a sleeve for each of our rooms and 3 key cards per sleeve. For those who don't want to do the math, that's 42 keys. The GM may have moved on to another property about a month ago, but the second I see the binder and what it holds, I briefly consider calling the GM to thank her for her foresight. I don't, but I still think about it. But now that I have keys to work with, I'm all too happy to poach 1 from each sleeve, so I can give the remaining guests that must check in 2 keys rather than 1. Also give new keys to the kind returning guests who were understanding when I had to hand them a fob. I'm then left with 4 extra key cards to be used for our check-ins the next day, 2 for each, and we still have another 28 in the Deus Ex binder. And yes, I'm definitely calling it that now. The night is improved now, so there's hope for the next few days, and I finish all my check-ins right after 10 p.m. Sure, I end up having to jump my car because the temperature has dropped to a nice breezy -7 Fahrenheit, with a wind chill that drags it all the way down to about -30 Fahrenheit, but I make it home that night. We move on to the next day, where I have to jump my car again because it's still below 0 when I get to work. I have only 3 check-ins, but we have an almost full house. I spare a few keys from the binder to give to the new guests, but don't want to pull any more than necessary. There aren't huge developments for this night, just needy guest things that I deal with easily, and an odd switch where one family left early but wants to let their friends use the room for the second night they'd reserved. Our housekeepers have gone home for the day at this point, but one room hasn't been used and the other has been refreshed, so it's all set. The people can take the room and everyone is happy. When I return to the desk, there's a good stretch of sitting around and waiting for something to happen. Now, this next part isn't highly relevant, but it's an amusing interaction. A girl comes up to the desks and says, "I need another key for room 10. No real greeting or please in there, but whatever. Did you lose your key, or do you need me to just let you in? I ask. My mom has a key, but I want to go back before her, she says, staring at me expectantly. I think for a moment. Sure, we have keys in the binder, but I'm not willing to part with another if their current room key isn't lost, so I tell her, okay, well, I can let you in. I hold up the master key fob, since I can't make you another key because we're having a shortage. Apparently, this information did not enter the kid's brain because she says kind of obnoxiously, yeah, but I need a room key. And she mimes a rectangle key card in her hands. In hindsight, I realize she quite literally wanted her own key, not just access to the room. I blame my neurodivergence for not picking up on that initially. But still, to talk to me like that, what a little shit. You're definitely not getting a key with that attitude. So I try to patiently explain, yes, I understand that, but I can't give you one. All I can do is go back with you and let you into the room. The kid makes a real-world approximation of a sad emoji face, then walks away. As I'm unsure if she wants me to follow, I get up and watch her go into the tavern, which is the room beside the lobby, get the room key from her mother, and leave. I slowly walk to the desk and immediately tell an online friend about it, as well as update the draft of this post. It turns out this interaction will actually come in handy later as Allie comes to the desk, informing me that one of the tables came in and sat themselves, had a coffee and a dessert, then walked out without paying. Allie knew they were staying with us, but didn't know which room, so she, manager number 2, and I used the process of elimination to figure out which guest it had to be. I personally checked in nearly all the guests, excluding 2 rooms, but manager 2 confirms it isn't those 2. We also cross out the other 2 rooms because one is a family of Asian descent, and the other is a father and daughter. Another 2 are out because I checked them in earlier and they're all men. This leaves 5 rooms, 2 of which connecting rooms, to narrow down. We cross off 3 as they're all friends and eating in our private dining room to bring us down to 2. With only 2 options left, I can't definitively narrow it down until I remember the kid from earlier. I ask Allie which table the woman was sitting at and confirm it was the same one the kid's mom was sitting at. Bingo. I can confidently tell them it's the guests in room 10, who have stayed with us a couple of times, and relay the earlier interaction, then put the bill on their room. Later, the manager hears about this and says he's spoken to them a good amount before. He suggests that since the woman is pretty entitled, she may have assumed we'd know her, and to put it on her room. Honestly, not a bad theory. But with this, there isn't much that goes on for the rest of the night, and I feel a surprised lack of impending doom. The same goes on for the next day, as I don't have any check-ins, so I spend the time chatting with my coworkers or tending our fire pit. I go home, and Ichabod is shrunk back to pillow size, and thankfully after a whole week, when I go to work on Monday, our new keys have arrived. Jay and I check to see if they'll work. The moment where I'm really holding my breath considering the other day when the keys we borrowed didn't work, but... green light. The key drought is over and Ichabod is gone. Weightless shoulders have never felt so good. But I'll still be grabbing a stack of keys to hide in case of emergencies. This is where our story ends, but who knows when the next Ichabod will come along. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 106. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do ding the like button before you go and share the video around with friends and family. Thank you kindly. Okay, I don't think there's any other business today, so let's just move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question comes thanks to my moderator, Darth Ino. And that is, what is your favorite guilty pleasure snack that you can't have too often for one reason or another? I'm going to pick spicy food, because I very much enjoy spicy food. It's among my favorite things, especially like spicy sushi and all. That's very nice. But I can't have them too often because my body has decided as I got older that while I like it, it doesn't like me having a lot of spicy food. Much like it also rebels at me having caffeine these days. Unfortunate, but so I only have them very occasionally, where it will go, okay, fine, just this once, as long as you don't make a habit of it. And so that's how I enjoy it, just every once in a while, even though I know I shouldn't eat it. What are yours? Maybe I'll get some good ideas of things I can stuff my face with. So what are your guilty pleasure foods that you know you shouldn't have too much? Please pop your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now and rest. I've been so much recording the past few days. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.